Welcome back, Post-Pollock viewers. Dave Epstein here from the Post-Pollock firm, Roseland, New Jersey. Here today to talk to you about alleged misconduct by a police chief in Boston. Let's watch the story and then we can talk about it very briefly. This is a short one.
A New Jersey police chief is facing charges in Boston for allegedly assaulting and kidnapping his ex-girlfriend while staying in a Back Bay hotel room. Today, he was arraigned in court. Let's head out to NBC 10's Oscar Margain. He joins us live from outside court in Boston. And Oscar, do we know what led to this?
Hey, Bianca, well, prosecutors here say this all started with a date at a Red Sox game back in September that went south. And the victim here accusing this police chief from New Jersey of not just verbally and physically assaulting her, but also holding her against her will at a Back Bay hotel.
First Carmen Veneziano.
Ottawa, New Jersey Police Chief Carmen Veneziano standing on the other side of the law, facing a Suffolk Superior Court judge Monday, charged with kidnapping and assault and battery.
The defendant and a woman he was dating came to Boston, stayed in a hotel, went to a Red Sox game. The trip went well until it didn't.
Prosecutors say Veneziano assaulted his date and kept her at a Back Bay hotel on September 14th between 3 and 5 a.m. after she allegedly locked him out.
Headbutting her by dragging her by her legs, by holding her down on the bed, preventing her from leaving the room or even leaving the bed, applying what she described as pressure points to her body that were painful.
Hotel staff ended calling police, and the matter seemed to have ended, leading both Veneziano and the victim to go home their separate ways. The victim, not identified by authorities, allegedly called Boston police days later to report what happened, eventually leading to a grand jury indictment.
Since this incident, there's been no further reports of any contact of any concerning kind.
The 47-year-old's lawyer defending his reputation as a man who has dedicated 25 years to law enforcement, 5 of those serving as a Ottawa police chief, though his troubles with the law began earlier this year.
He does not have a criminal record history but for an OUI conviction stemming from earlier this year.
Ottawa's mayor sharing the news over the weekend, placing his chief on leave without pay.
I was quite surprised. I have faith in him as a person. We'll have to see what happens with the charges.
Now, Veneziano is set to post bail, a $25,000 cash bail to be precise. He is also going to be wearing a GPS monitor while this case continues. The judge did order him to stay away from the victim and the victim's hometown. Reporting live from Boston, Oscar Margain, NBC 10 Boston.
Well, okay, folks. First of all, I saw that the mayor says he believes in him as a person, but he's suspending him without pay, so I guess he does not believe in him as a police chief at this point. Not sure what the difference is. That, to me, is a distinction without a difference. I represent public entities in police misconduct cases, and in those types of cases, I think with something like this, you would probably have to suspend, probably with pay. Under New Jersey law, it's not easy to suspend without pay. You have to show there's an immediate threat to public good or public safety. You could argue that is the case. You know, a guy beats or kidnaps and holds a girlfriend prisoner. Allegedly. We don't know if this happened, but if it did happen, if there is evidence sufficient to show it happened, you really don't want that person in charge of a police force. I think what a lot of New Jerseyans and people in our area would be more outraged about is that this guy, somebody from Yankees country or Mets country, went up to Fenway to watch a game. God forbid. But that said, a police chief is not supposed to be breaking the law. In fact, no one is supposed to be breaking the law. No one especially should be working over or beating up his girlfriend or kidnapping her or anything else. It's domestic abuse. I don't know if she's brought a domestic violence case. She could bring that in New Jersey if she's in a domestic relationship with him. I think she could still prove it here. Another interesting thing to consider, I doubt they would do it, but the township could hold its own hearing to determine whether or not they should get rid of the guy or say we want to have some evidence and have a hearing. It would probably be stayed as well under New Jersey law, but start disciplinary proceedings. That's how you start the suspension process. You issue what's known as a preliminary notice of disciplinary action, PNDA. Let him know you're suspended now. You let him know with or without pay, and tell him that we are not going to hold a hearing because we have a criminal charge pending. We have to wait and see what happens with that. Now, criminal charges pending in another jurisdiction, I don't know how much issue they might run into in sharing information with the prosecutors up in Boston and Suffolk County, I'm sure they would figure that out. I haven't dealt with that personally. Well, I shouldn't say that. I've dealt with misconduct by a police officer and then a firefighter out of state that came into consideration with his disciplinary record. And he was, when they're given the opportunity to be heard and they don't present a good enough case to refute it, it's problematic. We'll see where this goes. But quite frankly, if it's true, then I'm afraid the police chief is toast, because they're not going to put up with it, nor should they put up with that kind of thing. No police officer, especially a police chief, but no police officer. If nothing else, conduct unbecoming an officer, which is grounds for discipline, even under the right circumstances, removal. And this would seem to be a removal case. I mean, I'd be shocked if they didn't terminate him. They could demote him. That definitely should happen if he's found to have committed this. In any event, we'll know what happens. We'll see how this plays out. I don't know how far Massachusetts could take it, or whether the kidnapping charge is, kidnapping is usually a felony. False imprisonment, it depends on how they grade it, but his lawyer will probably get some case together to defend him and use that to enter into a plea agreement. But it will be the end of this man's time as a police chief and probably police officer, if in fact he pleads or any of these facts come out to be true. I hope you enjoyed the video, folks. I hope you learned a little something from it. I look forward to seeing you next time. Please hit like and subscribe. Please leave your comments. And this is Dave Epstein signing off from the Post Pollock firm. Bye-bye.